I've moved an HBCU up into the ACC where I'll be rebuilding them until we can win a national championship. Florida A&M, a school whose jerseys I glaze, is going to have a hard time making the jump from FCS to FBS, as we are just 5 minutes away from in-city rivals Florida State, and our roster, well, it's not ACC ready as we are just a 59 overall. What we bring to the table, though, is the best band in the conference, and even though freshman running back Jamal Haley has normal development, I'm really excited to use him with his 96 speed. He's easily one of, if not the best player on our roster for the future. But as I look at this schedule, it's not seeming ideal for our first season as an FBS team. It'll be a challenge, but we can handle it because HBCUs have been facing them from the start. They weren't always allowed to compete against every school. Our country has some bad history. So all the HBCUs created the Black College Football National Championship, which Florida A&M has actually won 16 times. TJ, the coach from our FIU tour, was a part of the last one as a center. But I say all that to say there's still racial politics at play to this day. So although we'll have the huge rivalry versus FSU in this rebuild, based off of my research, it's unfortunately not realistic. We are here to showcase Florida A&M, though, to have fun, to bring them a national championship eventually, and that's why I'm super excited that there are 4 stars interested in coming here. At the moment, there's only 4 of them. They're all from the state of Florida, but LaMarcus Biggs is my favorite. He's a contact seeker. He isn't slow either. So I'd really like to get him alongside quarterback Benji Hollyfield. He's got 92 throw power, 88 speed. I have a feeling we could develop him into a lot. Mechie would help him with the target to throw to. Gator would help out our defense. And even though there's probably less Gators in Tallahassee than South Florida, that name fits our team perfectly. We're going to sim our first game against Wake Forest. I pretty much had the expectation that we weren't winning that one no matter what. I can see that we're 0-1. I can see that there's a lot of players that want to leave already. And the fact that we lost 31-0, that we didn't score a single point, has me pretty concerned. I really thought with some of our best players being on the offensive side of things that we'd come out strong on that side of the ball. I just found freshman Trinell Hollis, though. He is 97 speed. I don't care about that normal development. He doesn't care about proximity to home either. We are going to lose him immediately. That's so annoying that we're probably going to lose him no matter what, but we have a rivalry against FIU. There's some history between these teams. At least for the history I'm aware of, James Colsey III is Florida A&M's current head coach. But FIU head coach Willie Simmons, his former job was with the Rattlers. He's having to go on the road to face his former team, but there can't be any bad blood. He won an HBCU championship with them. And apparently the last time these two schools met, Florida A&M won. Now, how accurate was that? Not at all. I looked it up. Apparently in school history, the Panthers are 2-0. So whoever created this was a little bit incorrect there, but I will leave the team builder in the description for you all. Look at Haley already breaking off a big run. We needed that badly because there's only a couple minutes left. We were down by 2 possessions. And I think we're still going to go for the onside kick because I just don't trust our defense. But we have 3 timeouts left, so this game's not over. We're just going to have to stop the run. All we can do is bring a lot of guys into the box, try and win the numbers game. I really hope that if they don't hand this off, if they do throw it, that we don't give them enough time to make a good read. But that's going to do it right there. We should have had a better user. We can just send up a prayer and hope for the best. It's just not going to work out. Though I really do enjoy how good our offensive line has been. We got away with that throw. RJ Johnson might actually be him. We're going to have the halfback angle route. We are in the end zone. And we need a better look with this onside kick. We just need him to not get a good hand on it. I really like the setup for that. Maybe one of these years, we're going to get our first win in school history against FIU. It has to come. It's called the Big Brother Bowl. Again, might not be accurate, but I'm just trusting the team builder I'm using. But the more I think about it, that is a really crazy name. There's no way that's real. We're going to hop into our next game against an FCS school. I have a feeling we're going to lose to Cal and Louisville. Then, to end the season, we'll play against Florida State. I always hop into 3 regular season games a year during this rebuild. Things are looking very good for the 4 stars we're targeting. All 4 of them we are in a lead for. I'm loving that right there. But even though they care about playing time, I'm afraid that as we continue to lose, they will become less and less interested in playing for the Rattlers, and we obviously don't want that. Since it's seeming like I'm not going to be able to hard sell on any one of these prospects, my solution to potentially landing them is scheduling all the offensive players for a visit the same week. And if we can just take down the Southern Kentucky Stallions, then I think we're going to get some decent bonuses. We have somehow given up more points against them than we did against FIU. I also have to point out the fact our jerseys are the same color. I don't know why EA doesn't allow us to change the color of the jerseys of the team builder schools, but it is what it is. We're going to use that as an excuse for why I've thrown an interception, but none of that's probably going to matter anyway because it took us far too long to get this football back. We have like 30 seconds and no timeouts to call, so we can't make a single mistake. Though that's a great route from Lawrence. Lawrence is in the red zone. I can't believe there's still hope that we win our first game of the season. We got 20 seconds on the clock. I think we're just going to roll out. Oh no. Oh no. Questionable decision making from RJ Johnson, but it seems like they're just gonna send in a blitz. I don't know what they're thinking. It has to be Jamal Haley that's on the end of this as well. But I simulated the extra point. And we missed. You might be wondering, why would I think that's a good idea? Also, who is this running back that we're facing? He was looking massive. Anyway, it really wasn't a good idea. We should have known that you can't just simulate the extra point whenever you're using a 56 overall team. We're just going to let Jamal Haley go to work, though, on third down. The blocks are there. He's going to be at the 6. And I still can't tell who is who because our jerseys are matching, but it is what it is. I honestly think we end this madness right here. Can we end the madness? We can't. I was staring down one route. Maybe we should have taken off with RJ Johnson. It's a pretty gross way to lose a football game when you consider the fact that all we had to do was just stay in, kick the extra point myself. And how do we think that's going to affect our recruiting board? Well, we're not going to get LaMarcus Biggs. We're not going to get Benji Holyfield. He's going to go to Miami, who we're about to play this next week. I don't think we're going to get any of these receivers. Maybe we'll still get the linebacker, though. And I have a feeling as we simulate to the end of this year to play against Florida State, it's just going to be a long one. We are going to get a pleasant surprise for our first commit, though. 4-star Jelani Gator has decided he's going to come to Florida A&M. And we also managed to pick up a win against Stanford 19-14. That should just tell you how far Stanford has fallen over the last decade. Every other team beat us, though. We're ready to play against the Seminoles, who are 3-7. And on the recruiting side of things, we lost basically every prospect, but we have gotten a few defenders, which is nice. I tried to find us a new quarterback from the state of Florida. Angelo just doesn't have the stats that we would have gotten on the 4-star. So when the transfer portal rolls around, we're going to try and save this team there. Now, we are debuting some new jerseys. I don't know if they're real. I don't know if they wear these in real life, but they were on this team builder, and currently, we're only down to the Seminoles by 9. Well, it would be 9 if we kicked our extra point, but we've learned our lesson. We don't need to do the extra points. We can just go for the 2-point conversion. Running around is our best solution there. And it definitely helps that Florida State blows compared to what they were a couple of years ago, because it gives us a real chance to get some huge wins. How did they just complete that for a first down? Why is he still on his feet? That's just so frustrating, but we might be able to get them off of the field. It's 4th and 2. It's a direct snap up the middle. We're fine. Thad Johnson is in at running back, though, which is not good news for Jamal. I don't know where our freshman's at. It turns out he broke his hand, and he's going to miss the rest of the season because of it. But I think Thad Johnson actually starts for them, so this might be better. We have the real starting running back out there. Look at the speed on Rodgers. Currently, RJ Johnson's only thrown for 80 yards in this game. I mean, you have to wonder. How can you have that few yards? But it all comes back to our offense just not having much success. Once we made it to the 4th quarter, though, I think the guys got a whole second wave. There was belief they could win this game. There was a chance. So all of that goes out the window if we can't pick up this 4th and 1. You've got to be kidding me. They didn't just get one guy in immediately. They got 2 of them, and they're going to hit us with an RPO. We're not making the first tackle or the second, but that alone doesn't end the game. We can still stop the run. We're just not going to be able to hold Castellanos unless we can force a fumble off of a hit stick or something. But you know what? Even if we aren't going to beat Florida State, we played them really well for our first year rebuilding Florida A&M. We're also going to pick up a couple more commits, so that's just going to add to our class. And I've had to decide what I want to do with these coordinators. I actually want to keep around Paul. He is a talent developer, but we're going to see what type of defensive coordinators are available. It's probably going to be best if we just don't even look at our conference standings, as it looks like Miami finished on top, though I just remembered we beat Stanford. We might not be at the bottom, except we are. We went 1-8. It was always going to be like this, though. RJ Johnson is a senior, so he's not going to be our starting quarterback next year. It might be Tyler Jefferson. Whether or not it's him will all come down to who we get in the transfer portal. If we even look at that position, his accuracy can get really good. You know what? We might just roll with him. As for rushing yards, Jamal Haley had less than 500, only 3 touchdowns. It lets you know how bad our offense truly was. And yet, I'm over here trying to get us a better defensive coordinator, keeping the offensive coordinator around. Blake Baker is our best option. But since Arkansas and TCU also wanted him, I wasn't sure if he'd accept the job. The next scary phase that we have to go through is the transfer portal period and watching some of our players leave. There are so many that want to, it's really hard to keep track of. Trenton Hollis, we are saying goodbye to the 97 speed freshman safety. I don't really think we have a good chance at convincing any of these guys to return. And then on top of those players departing, we have like another 10 to 15 seniors that have graduated. I will say at the moment, roster, not in a great spot, but we might have some transfers interested in coming here that are going to be really good. I think we're going to have some players wanting to come home, like he's from Florida. But here's the thing, when our only good school grade is conference prestige, when when we are only a one-star program, we only have 525 hours to spend during the transfer portal. It makes it very hard to sign a big transfer class, but these are my top 9 targets, and everybody else will try and figure out as the transfer portal moves on. After a couple weeks, it's pretty obvious to me which of these prospects we're probably not going to get and which ones we got a good chance at. And even though we've already talked a lot about our running back for the future, I think picking up Jalen Glover gives us a nice 1-2 punch. As for some of our other signings that we're going to get on the final week, I think Justin Reed is going to be a big help to the offense too. We got a lot of defensive backs. It was just a big positional need, and I think we won every single battle besides for Shelton Sampson Jr. He went back to Louisiana where he was trying to transfer from, so that's annoying. But then I remembered we signed a 4-star in this first class. He is going to have impact development. But there was only one player in this entire class that had star or higher development, and it was Javen Thomas. I will say that's not very good news for us since I'm pretty sure he's going to be a senior. Our recruiting class was ranked inside the top 50. It's not terrible for national standards, but inside the ACC, it definitely isn't good. We're still exceeding our expectations though. We actually got a dev trade upgrade on Diston. I'm pretty sure he's one of our corners, and we got one on one of the transfer receivers we brought in. I feel like those are typically pretty rare, so I'm happy to see that we were able to get a couple. We are going to have an 88 overall running back in Jalen Glover. We're also going to get an 85 out of Naheem Abdul-Rahim Gladding. Part of that has to do with the fact that we just talked about his dev trait jumping up to impact, but that's going to be a very hard name for me to say over the next 2 seasons. If you look past our first few players though, the rest of our roster really is not that good, especially for the ACC. Jamal Haley only went up 1 overall to a 78. Tyler Jefferson's a 76. And I said we were going to lean on him, though we only have him for 2 more seasons, so we should probably start looking for a new quarterback to recruit. I also found another player that got a dev trade upgrade for us. Cornerback Dalen Diston. He just goes to a 73 and he's a senior, so that was useless. And I'm actually really glad that we signed running back Jalen Glover now, because this is the kid that's going to have to carry our offense the whole year. If we could just make it to 2 wins instead of 1, that's all the improvement I'm looking for in season number 2. We have chances to get revenge against programs like the FCS team we played last year, FIU. I don't know if we're going to be able to beat Florida State on the road, but that's what the schedule's looking like. And when it comes to players interested in us, as I'm building out this recruiting board, it's only 3 stars or lower, but I'm still going to find some 4 stars from the state of Florida. I've specifically found 5 of them, a couple of offensive linemen, a cornerback with 94 speed, another running back, though this one not as fast, and then quarterback Rashawn Moncrief. I don't know if we're going to be able to get him. He's not as exciting of a prospect as what we've seen in the past, but I threw him on our board just because it'd be nice if we could get a 4-star quarterback here, and we might be looking at the transfer portal for our best option. Our plan of attracting talent using the transfer portal, though, would go so much better if we could win some games. Lawrence gets in off this pass, and if you've taken any notice, you'd see Goldie Lawrence has probably been our best receiver. It's supposed to change this season since he's not our highest overall, but it doesn't always work out like that. We should have had that pick. And was that Javion Thomas that dropped it, the kid we got out of the transfer portal? I'm using him now. We better not let FCS Northwest get in here. Give us an interception. Come on. Back to being all tied up at 20. We got a little bit of a halfback screen here, and it's going to get Glover out in space. 9 yards. But Jaden Glover's already dealing with wear and tear quite a bit, so we're going to have to get Jamal Haley out there as well. And look at the speed. Look at the speed. Jamal Haley cutting up. It doesn't matter. It's on Heisman. He's making plays. And I wish he'd actually develop as well so he could perform well during sim. I told you all we were going to make our offense better with this team, but can our defense get us a stop? We're going to have to force an interception. They caught it on our head. And this is going to be embarrassing if we can't just close out this game. I really like how we shot that run, though. We have made it 3rd and 9. The last time it was a big 3rd down. They caught one on our head. Not here, though. And this is it. We just need our 4-man rush to generate a little bit of pressure, or one of these guys to wrap up. And this is exactly what we were looking for to start this season. We are going to have to give up on 4-star quarterback Rashawn Moncrief, though. He locked us out after that. I don't know why, but I have a hope that there are other 4-star quarterbacks out there that are going unrecruited. Larry Nortman is getting chased by Nebraska and Syracuse. So I guess we're just going to spread out more points along the 3 stars that we're interested, and we're going to wait for the transfer portal for our big signing. The next game on our schedule is at the Swamp, so this is basically an instant loss. But we're not going to get down on ourselves for this because we had 411 total yards of offense. We scored 31 points. We just couldn't stop the Gators. I actually think Tyler Jefferson has been great for our offense. Yes, he made one mistake, but between him and Jalen Glover, we're doing well. So well that we're going to hop into this game against number 11 Duke. Trying to beat the Blue Devils might have been biting off more than we can chew, though, as it's gotten ugly. Currently sitting at 42-14. And I'm hoping we can at least reach 21 points by getting this Hail Mary to work out in our favor, but most likely it's not going well. Our defense is such a big problem. And it might be a good thing some of those defenders want to transfer out since they're clearly not doing anything beneficial for us. Just like last season, we're set to lose a load of guys to the transfer portal again, but we're trying to turn that around. And I have to have faith that we're going to walk into Pitbull Stadium and take down the Panthers here. If we're going to make it to 2 wins this season, this is our chance. But you might notice we have a new quarterback out there on the field, and that's because Tyler Jefferson bruised his shoulder in this game. Fortunately for us, he'll be back soon, and it looks like we're going to be heading into halftime with a 3-point lead. But FIU's not going to go away easily. We're still going to have to play well through these last quarters. And I know Glover is our best player, but I almost feel more comfortable with us just going through the air and getting this out at the last second. Lawrence drops it. We didn't put him in a great position, but I'm going to be staring down Justin Reed, that transfer tight end that we brought in. He's going to find space in the zones. Though it is now 4th and goal. We got our halfback angle route out there. We hook up with Glover. The solution was Jalen all along. And with a few minutes left in this game, up by 4 still, FIU just took a field goal. They didn't want to go for it. They rather just get their points on the board, which I respect. And I appreciate, because the second we get Jamal Haley this football, I was hoping he'd have a big run. Since he didn't though, unless we can convert on this 3rd down, which we might be able to. We got stuck punting it back to the Panthers. They scored a touchdown extremely fast. And this 2-point conversion is extremely crucial if we want to win this game. Come on, guys. Things are just falling apart here at the end of the game. No one is picking him up. And we might be looking to throw this football just as far as we can down the field. Try and make an aggressive catch. The Panthers have sent some very, very smart pressure. But we can make it a 4th and manageable. Or Abdul Rahim Gladding is literally just going to have the ball in his hands and drop it. He better make up for it on this next play here. This is the game. This is the game. Come on. I am so disappointed in him for not catching that pass on 3rd down. It would have been like 4th and 8. I've already hopped into 3 games though, so that's going to do it for the rest of this season. Besides recruiting, I'm already pulling out of some of these prospects as well. I know we're not going to win them. It isn't helpful. We're being forced to be realistic. I didn't realize our overall was that close to Virginia, especially since they're a top team, but let's just go ahead and get through most of this year. And nothing that I'm seeing is surprising. Lots of close matchups that we almost pulled out, but we're still 1-9. Though on the recruiting side of things, despite losing on a cornerback, we signed Tevin Cormier, which is the running back we wanted. He only has 86 speed, but if his dev trait turns out to be good, who knows how great he'll be in the future. And in our last 2 games against FSU and Miami, we're just going to be hoping for a miracle. We did not get an answer to that though. 38-0. It did not go well against the Seminoles, and then Miami on the road, they beat us by a lot too. And it seemed like the Hurricanes were on a path to win back-to-back ACC championships, but they lost to SMU. When it comes to our team, our offense, Tyler Jefferson did not have a great statistical season. He was out for multiple games with an injury at some point. We had 7 interceptions out of our backup. We're going to have to find some more quarterbacks this year. Jalen Glover is going to be gone though. Jamal Haley might not take a big step forward. He has normal development, so at least our receiving core is all returning. The only main contributor that isn't is Justin Reed, but we found him in the transfer portal. We can find another kid just like this a year later. And as I open up the playoff picture, I've noticed that FIU was able to get in with one of the 12 spots, so our loss to them doesn't look as bad. It does stink that Javian Thomas immediately wants to go though. We can't persuade him to return. And I don't know how many of these players were actually starting for us on defense, but it's never good to lose depth on your team. There's also the graduates. We've went 1-11 both years though. I can't be too emotionally attached to these players. Jalen Glover is going to get us our first guy in the NFL from this rebuild. And to me, that just shows the true power of the transfer portal. I can't believe Turbo Richard would even consider us, but he wants to come over from Florida. He must have liked something that he saw whenever we played them. And I don't know much about either one of these quarterbacks, but my hope is one of them turns out to be good. Our board has players like Shelton Sampson Jr. on there again. This time, we're going to make sure we land him. I also put some defenders since we needed to improve that part of our team. You're going to see another 10 3-stars that we just haven't closed out the battle for yet. And the cool part about those players is even if you don't get them to commit, as long as they're in first place on your board on National Signing Day, they'll still sign with your school. Well, it looks like the second time is going to be the charm. Shelton Sampson Jr. commits to our school. We also got Johnny Ingram as our quarterback. Turbo Richard, I think we're going to get him on a week 4 visit. There was another 4-star running back from Miami that had not committed anywhere else. I don't know much about him, but if he turns out to have decent speed, I mean, he played for the Hurricanes and he looks really good. On National Signing Day, this is what really counts. We're going to get all the players that we put almost no effort into signing. They just wanted to be a part of our program. We also got both 4-star running backs on top of the 4-star out of high school. And I think we literally got every single player that we wanted. When it comes to dev traits, there weren't too many wins, but we got star on 3-star Bart Loper at cornerback. We also saw it on Cormier. I'm hoping he lets us redshirt him for a season once we have Jordan Lyle and Turbo Richard ball out. And I gotta say, Johnny Ingram having normal dev is not good for our future at the quarterback position. We probably should have signed a couple more, but he's going to have some better targets, though I think both of these kids are seniors. We haven't necessarily found our long-term solution for anything ever since taking over Florida A&M, but our recruiting classes continue to get better. And we didn't get any dev trade upgrades this year, but look at how many more players we have above an 80 overall. That's really good news for us. Ty Lockwood took a big step forward as a transfer, though Tyler Jefferson is just a 78 overall alongside Johnny Ingram. One of them's a senior, one of them's a freshman, so we have to compare their accuracies to see who we start at quarterback. And I think I'm going to be biased because there's a silver extender ability on Johnny Ingram. It's great for breaking sacks. His accuracy skill caps are maxed out. Does he even have more than half of them available? We did not get a good quarterback there in the portal. It's another miss. It looks like Angelo, though, the kid that I've recruited, has a lot of potential. He just doesn't have the dev trait to reach it. I'm at least going to redshirt him for a season and hope that he doesn't decide to transfer. We're going to start Tyler Jefferson. And we can also redshirt Tevin Cormier with his star development because he cares about conference prestige. There's 3 great running backs above him. Jamal Haley, only a 79 overall. Turbo Richard, great transfer. But Jordan Lyle, the kid from Miami, this is the best one that we have pulled in. He wasn't getting the playing time that he wanted over there, and he is 94 speed with 99 excel. I know there's a super slim chance we beat the Hurricanes this season, but I do think a player like that can elevate this roster to 3 or 4 wins. With all of our school grades being like this as well, what we might just become is a running back factory for pro potential. We could just be a place for seniors to transfer in and have an opportunity to get onto the field. But how are there so many 4-stars interested in playing for the Rattlers this year? This is huge. I might be falling for a trap where we don't sign like any of them, but we're still going to go after them pretty aggressively. There's also a 5-star quarterback from Miami, Florida, George Stokes, that I decided we're just going to put hours into. We're going to see what happens. I don't think it's going to work out, but that's why Isaiah Pike is also on our board. He's from Alabama. He's got 93 throw power. He technically has better stats than the 5-star quarterback, but I'd assume his ceiling isn't as high. That could be the reason we're the only school going after the 3-star. It is about time that we beat the Panthers. I figured there's no way we'd lose to them again. This is about that time in the rebuild where you win games like this. We're 3 years deep now and we have the best roster we've ever had, but we've only scored 3 points, so we have a lot of coming back to do. With 4 minutes left, we have the football back again, but we're going to have to get really lucky to pull this off. In case you're wondering, Tyler Jefferson has thrown not 1, not 2, but 3 interceptions in this game. So the fact that he just placed that one where he just did has shocked this entire stadium. We might be able to get into the end zone here, and we do. By now, I'm sure FIU is aware that if they just run the ball, they can end the game. But they came out in hurry-up mode for whatever reason, except they're making us wait the entire 40 seconds. We're basically being trolled by one of our rivals until they decide to throw the football. And am I delusional for thinking we can still come back in this game? We'll have all 3 of our timeouts. We just can't give up the first down here, which we don't. And that will take us to the 2-minute warning. You almost have to go for the comeback at this point because it would be absolute cinema if we could pull off the biggest comeback ever. But that play right there is doing absolutely nothing for us. And I think we're just going to have to go underneath to get out of bounds. I'm really wondering how Tyler Jefferson was so bad. But then there will be plays like that, and it'll all start to add up. We had 2 of our receivers just running into each other. They got the pick. It is 3 years in a row now. We've lost every single time. And it's taken approximately 1 week for me to just put Johnny Ingram in as our quarterback because he's not going to throw 3 interceptions. Well, he may against Syracuse, but if he does, we're just going to ignore it because we want to give the freshman a chance. And let's see, in a 28-17 loss to Syracuse, I feel like that's not too bad, only losing to them by 11. He didn't have a single turnover, took a couple sacks, but this is a solid game. We also ran the ball for over 150 rushing yards against him. So I have to assume at some point in the future, we're going to win a couple of these. Sure enough, against Virginia Tech, we beat them 22-19. And I really hope that starts helping us with some of these prospects to even have a chance at signing them because it seems like we're in first place for quite a few. But if we're not, Auburn or Miami is closely trailing behind. At least I can tell we got 3-star quarterback Isaiah Pike locked up, so what we'll do is we'll take some of his hours and start getting these guys on visits. But I'm afraid that they might be too far out since it's only week 4 and the next time somebody can come in is week 7. I should have known this was going to be a waste of recruiting hours. It's not like our hard sells have been terrible either. It's just not going to be good enough. And coming off of a 24-21 loss on the road at USF, we have to go all the way out to the West Coast for a conference matchup in the ACC Atlantic Coast Conference against Stanford. Still ridiculous, but it is what it is. We've beat them before, so I'm hoping we can do it again. We actually got a 4-star early. And even our first school record out of Johnny Ingram, he has set the Florida A&M single game passing touchdowns one. I can't believe we've done it. We've owned Stanford twice now. He must have had 6 or 7. Okay, he had 5. And I feel like I haven't talked much about our coach build yet. Currently, we're just a little bit into motivator. We have tier 3 for some of these positions. I might as well also get that for our offensive line. but I want to save up for Master Motivator. We just need to get 5 players drafted first. And if there was ever a time for us to hop into a game and shock a team, we could beat 5-0 North Carolina. We got to go upset hunting at some point. If they were ranked, it would be an even bigger win. But for some reason, they're not, and we've actually figured out why. It's because we've been able to compete with them, and we might even beat them. The Johnny Ingram switch-up has been incredible for our program. We've already won more games in a season than we've won any other year. And I still think we pull this one out. We'll see if they go with man or zone coverage here. We might just need to hit our tight end on the drag route. Lockwood's going to find his way in. But it all comes down to our defense. The defense that I was hoping we could improve a lot during the offseason. We just left him open. And on 4th and 3, this is where we really make our stand. That slant's not there. They have to just throw this ball up. We're trying to deflect it. Come on. Why did our players just become blind? Why couldn't we make a simple play? They're probably going to score now. Unless they're not smart about how they manage this clock. It's a thrown up 50-50 ball. Bostic on the end of it this time. Finally. You can only test us so many times before we will get that interception. You can go away, Gio Lopez. You can go away, Bill Belichick. Go away, North Carolina. You don't have what it takes to mess with the Rattlers. We're doing well in ACC play. If Johnny Ingram keeps this up as well, you might just see Bill Belichick's girl walking out in the tunnel with him. That win meant something to me, man. There just hadn't been much to be hopeful about. As you can see, we're losing on basically every single 4-star recruit, though we might be able to out-recruit Miami as long as he is still on our board by week 10 for a visit against Virginia. And I didn't even realize we could hard sell on quarterback George Stokes, the 5-star. It's not a great hard sell, but if we can just continue to keep this up, he might actually commit. And if he does commit, the future's bright. I think the only reason that we have an outside chance at signing him is because we're currently sitting at 3-1 in conference play. And if we want to keep our championship contender grade up, we're going to have to win this game against the Mustangs. It's going to be the last game that we can hop into this season, though. And I am afraid that we've been a little bit humbled. They are just going to go for an RPO. And we can't stop it. We can't stop it. No point in even trying to come back from there. It's going to be a 35-14 loss. And I have a feeling I know exactly how the rest of the season's going to go. Although we'd get Isaiah Pike, we ended up being locked out of George Stokes. We couldn't even finish inside his top 2. Miami and Nebraska were just more attractive options to him. And with schools like Ole Miss wanting to take away 3-star linemen that we were recruiting, I don't think we've done anything productive with this class. It's going to be our worst one. I think we literally might sign like 5 players out of high school. But you have to think about the positives. And even if we went on a 5-game losing streak after beating North Carolina, who finished number 10, by the way, we beat Jacksonville State to end the year. And there's no way that we could have finished at the bottom of the ACC with 3 conference wins, so we are making progress. I could go ahead and just fire some of these coordinators, though. Paul Petrino, he was supposed to be a talent developer, and he's decided to become a motivator instead, barely going down this pathway he's gone. As for Blake Baker, our main strategist, it looks like he's basically just focused on having linebackers be solid, cornerbacks too, not bad. We'll at least keep him around for the time being, but we need to shop around a bit. Maybe that wasn't the right decision though, because every one of these options is a level 16 or lower, so they are basically useless, which is really annoying to see. We're gonna have to remove some of these 3-stars that we couldn't win out on. Turns out we have 7 kids signed out of high school, almost a full offensive line. It wasn't as bad as I was thinking. But Isaiah Pike's dev trait matters. It's impact. That is something that we can work with. Looks like the rest of these guys are going to be impact or normal. And who knows? Maybe Johnny Ingram's going to start for us for the next couple seasons still at quarterback. It's just his accuracy not being able to improve that is a major problem to me. Jordan Lively's going to go on to the NFL. But you know who's going to leave us? Jamal Haley, because he just didn't get playing time this year. I can't blame him, though. I really can't. He had so much potential, but he's barely improved, so it's not the biggest loss in the world. Lots of senior receivers like Goldie Lawrence as well. But at least FIU did make it back to the playoff 2 years in a row. Since we can't seem to beat them, I'm hate watching on them at the moment. We're going to have like 10 players transfer. It could be much worse than this if Jordan Lively comes back for another season. Would have been neat, he won't. But here's the thing, most of the players that we've been acquiring recently care about either proximity to home or they care about conference prestige, so we shouldn't see guys leaving much in the future. I figured that'd be the best way for us to build Florida A&M since we're not having good seasons, so if we were focused on other school grades, they'd most likely leave. Though when it comes to putting running backs into the NFL and it comes to putting receivers into the NFL, we might have found something. If we can keep getting good transfers, that'll attract a lot of talent. I said I wanted to go down the master motivator pipeline, and all we have to do is get one more player drafted, so that shouldn't be a challenge. And I still have to check out some of the quarterbacks that are interested in coming to our school, especially KJ Jackson, because I recognize the name. I think he's going to be pretty good. If he doesn't turn out for us, though, that's going to be a waste of resources because we had to fight pretty hard to get him. And it's actually been Troy that's been a real pain. They've taken prospects away from us already. This is what our board's looking like headed into the final week. I have a lot of guys on here that nobody else wanted. I offered a scholarship. We jump up to first place. They'll automatically commit. But Zaire Johnson, a transfer from Ole Miss at QB, is another option that we're going to have as well. I really didn't engage in too many battles this time around. We also couldn't find a 4-star transfer running back that was interested in our school. Caleb Hawkins was the highest rated one. And in that final week, I'm always expecting a couple of schools to just step in and take away some of those prospects, because it's not like we're putting many resources into them, which is what happened with Boise State on this free safety, but that's about it. Considering the other free safety we got has normal development, if Harold Etienne would have had a way better dev trait other than impact, I would have been pretty salty. Turns out though, I don't really have a reason to be, and every single player in this class was either normal dev or impact dev, including both of the QBs. Don't get me wrong, it's not the end of the world. They can still progress to a pretty high overall. It's just not going to be as quick, and we wanted to have a fast turnaround. On offense, we just lost a lot of NFL talent. Looks like we recruited a 77 overall freshman quarterback though in Isaiah Pike, so he might be our best one. We still have to get through training results. KJ Jackson has 88 speed, by the way, 95 excel on Zaire Johnson. Both of them extremely fast, but they care about playing time, so one of them's probably going to transfer, and he has hit all of his skill caps. This is when we have no choice but to move him to another position and see how he fits in. Maybe he'll be a decent tight end. But something is not right about that screen, because it is saying he is a 23 overall. I don't know what to do. Interestingly enough, though, I just moved him back to quarterback so we didn't have an awful overall, bringing our team overall down, and then he unlocks some skill caps by doing that. So that might be a strategy, but it turns out position changes are just broken at the moment, I guess, because whenever I go to move around offensive linemen to see where's their best overall fit, it's the exact same screen I was seeing a second ago. I don't know why that's messed up. It's one of my favorite parts about Dynasty, about rebuilds, but that needs to be fixed. It literally just ruined my ability to see how good players would be at different positions. We're not going to move many guys around. This is the team that we're going to be stuck with, where none of these guys are going to get drafted. And that's an issue, because like I said, I want to unlock Master Motivator, the next tier, and go down this pathway, but we need to have one more player drafted first. Honestly, this might just turn into another season that we don't want to think much about, that we get through pretty quick, but we are an 82 overall team, so even though like 10 players want to transfer, I have to consider we could make it to a bowl game. Now, our quarterback position, Zaire Johnson's got the starting job as an 83. I just can't give it to Isaiah Pike at the moment, even though he has impact development. We'll probably redshirt him since he cares about proximity to home, though his accuracy is capped out. That's always the problem that you run into with those high overall 3 stars. And as I sit here looking at our schedule for this season, I'm not excited about 5 straight road games, especially at number 9 Duke, Miami, Florida State, Clemson, number 15's coming to town after we play FIU. It might be a little bit of a struggle, but last season we had 4 stars that were immediately interested in playing for our school, and we're going to get that again. We're also trying to convince 2 different 5 stars on the defensive side of the ball to play for Florida A&M. I don't think we're going to land them, but it's worth a shot anyway. This strategy of just going after 4 stars at first hasn't been paying off too well, especially at the quarterback position, because Jalen Kerr is another 4-star. I found his stats aren't that enticing, but we're still going to put hours into him. I just can't seem to help myself. Anyway, it is time that we play FIU. I haven't been able to play in a few days because I was out of town, but I have not forgotten that we have lost to the Panthers every single season so far, so this needs to be the first time that we take them down. We've learned that it's always going to be a battle for us, but we're just going to hand this one off to Hawkins, who transferred in, and if he's not punching it in, I got to think that Tevin Cormier is going to do it as a freshman. We ended up not getting the 2-point conversion though, which means we got to get them off of the field on this 3rd and 8, and I just feel like every facet of this team has improved. Liked that. We're going to be able to bust this one for 5, except there's a fumble. Pick it up for a first down. That is a cheat code to get the ball moving forward until they start to review whether or not he was down. I guess we're just going to have to deal with some stadium pulse on 3rd and 5. As we throw it straight to him. Don't even blame me for that, man. He didn't get any separation. I don't want to hear, oh, you come back from watching a game and you immediately just start throwing picks again. I don't. But that's the reality of the situation, and you see where we're at. Now, the computer isn't the smartest, so we might be able to get this back. But we need them to take a knee before that clock hits 1, and they did. Typically, you can get a chance just to respond, and we have, but only if they kick this super deep and we let it bounce into the end zone, because it's not going to come off of a return. We also weren't able to do too many audibles. We're going to have to make a play with our legs first, and we do. Here we go. This is where it all starts. We find Hawkins. Hawkins runs underneath it. We have the block. Go, no. Why? He was so close. Stop celebrating, buddy. It's over. It's over. I schemed it. I schemed it so well. I honestly didn't think we'd make it that far. But it's just going to be another loss for the Rattlers, and we're about to host Clemson, so you know how the season's starting. On the bright side, though, they only beat us by 3, and we followed it up with a win over an FCS school. Now, if we can beat Cal, we'd be 2-2. They're 0-3. And I believe that 2-2 headed into the toughest stretch of our season, where we have like 5 road games in a row, would be amazing. But we'll just have to see what happens there. Jimmy Chickalo was the only gym receiver I could find that I really wanted to land. Florida's just going to get him over us. We aren't going to have the hard sell that's going to land him over over the Gators. So I've taken those hours and I'm going to start putting them into other visits, but since we've so many road games in a row, our first one can't be until week 10. By the time that we get to that part of the season though, I think we're going to be having a pretty awful year just based off of the fact that we couldn't beat Cal. And I see the writing on the wall for some of these 5-star prospects. Some of them we're not hard selling on. I guess we could now on Dante, but then there's other ones that we're trying to hard sell, and you can just see programs like Miami are going to pull away. I think if we hop into this game against the Blue Devils though, and we're able to take them down, then that might restore our hope for the rest of this season and give us a little bit of a positive outlook, because I feel like so far, even though we are improving every single year, we don't really have a future that looks amazing. I find it so bizarre, even with Johnson being injured, you can see him stretching out his arm. We're in a better position in this game than we were against FIU. We're headed into the fourth quarter, about to score again, up by 3, and we're looking for some quick out routes if they're there. Oh, we're throwing it straight at the zone. You really have to wonder why Zaire Johnson thought that would ever be open. Just not the smartest thing he's ever done, but he's going to hit this drag to Boston, who is in. And I'm so unfamiliar with this roster at the moment. I don't know if we got him in the portal, if we recruited him a couple years ago, but Tank Boston is a senior. He's an 84 overall, and then there's a lot of juniors behind him. Before the season, I looked at our roster breakdown, and I think we had 30 juniors on here. That's just important to keep in mind for the upcoming years. Don't fumble that. We are so close to closing this one out, even though Duke scored a touchdown, because 1 first down will do it. They only have 1 timeout left, and everybody is just dealing with wear and tear on this team. It's really frustrating. It's why Caleb Hawkins, our backup's out there. It's why you can see that there's hits on our QB. But you know what? At the end of the day, we walked into the stadium of an 84 overall team, and we won, while also picking up the commit of Cole Durbin, a 4-star receiver. I was really hoping that we could get Jalen Kerr at the same time, but Miami's about to get that quarterback. I'm actually going to reallocate all these hours. And while doing that, we're going to sim a few weeks against opponents that we're probably not beating. Just so we have some depth on this team, I'm going to start offering scholarships to players that were interested in our school in the first place. I'm not going to put hours into them, but if we win those battles, I'm going to take it. And even though we're getting nowhere near all the players we went after to start this season, I have seen multiple committed screens, which makes me feel better. I think we should have always known that the 5 stars were going to be a long shot, that we weren't going to win on either of them. But I truly thought this team had a decent shot at making it to a bowl game, so seeing us sitting at 2-6 is really discouraging. We even had Caleb Hawkins winning player of the week against Boston College, all while losing to the Eagles 35-27. That stretch of road games was just really tough for us. And unless we win all 4 of these final games, then we can't be bowl eligible. I figured we're best off trying to start that streak by winning this game against Stanford, who started 5-3. They're having a better year than they typically have, but getting that stop, forcing them to punt it back to us with under 5 minutes left, is really gonna hurt them. Only if we don't have to immediately punt it back to them though. As you can tell, it's 3rd down, and we're hitting our tight end. Stack is skinnier than I thought. I'm not sure how he's going to do blocking out on that right edge, but it looks like they didn't expect the read option. And Zaire Johnson can do a lot on the ground with that. As the timeouts come out, as we close in on scoring a touchdown. Stanford knows that this game is basically over, unless they can force a turnover, but we're not going to give them a chance. At least that's what I want them to think. We'll still go for a throw on 3rd and goal, but we might as well run it in, because that's what Zaire Johnson's best at. 7 points in every quarter ended up being all that we needed to win. And I'm not even sure if our championship contender can rise enough to keep around some of these players. I guess we're just going to have to get lucky as we sim these final few games that we are somehow able to win out. And I think before we get into how we have done, we should start with the bad news first. Tulane was able to get this edge away from us. I thought we might be able to beat out the Green Wave, but they got the 4-star, so we had another one on our board that Texas A&M and Miami are coming for, which would normally bring me down, but as you can see, even though we had almost 100 less total yards of offense, we beat Georgia Tech by 3 points, and then the following week against Temple, we beat them by 4, so our final game against 3-8 SMU is the difference between us being bowl eligible for the first time in this rebuild or missing out on one, so we're hoping for the best. That is exactly what we got as well, holding the Mustangs to just 3 points while dropping 44 on their head. I don't know how that's even possible considering Zaire Johnson was not very good. I don't even think I want to start him next year. We're going to be looking in the portal again. But a lot of that has to do with the fact that his skill caps aren't that good. He has hit his peak potential basically. I mean, he carried us all the way to 6-6 mid-table in our conference. So he still deserves a lot of love, especially since he has kept us in the battle for the final 3-4 stars on our board. I think we might get him. It would only take another week for Amari Stanley to want to commit. But what I am far more concerned about is the game above sports ball. I don't think I've ever seen this before. It must be a new one. We're playing Eastern Michigan, who's typically pretty bad. And with all our attention on this game, there is a very real chance that we could finish above 500 for the first time in this rebuild. It seems like this might be taking place at Ford Field though. I'm not sure if I recognize this stadium correctly, but if it's at Ford Field, that's got to be like 30 minutes away from Eastern Michigan. But even though that's the case, our fans traveled just as well as they did. We have a loyal fan base. Sims is going to come away with this pick. I don't know where they thought they were throwing that football, but it literally fell right into our lap. Up by 7 with 3 minutes left in this position is a really good sign. But they have been shutting down the run well. So we're going to have to pass for it on 3rd and 11. And I think we got our ankle route. Butler Tanner hangs on. So even though Zaire Johnson still has not thrown for a touchdown in this game, we're walking away with it. This is very, very good news for Florida A&M. At one point this season, I thought the whole year was out the window. But finishing with 5 straight wins, it's the best we've ever done in this rebuild. And I gotta be a little bit nice on Zaire Johnson if he's setting this single season passing yards record. In my opinion, and based off of his actual stats, he just wasn't that accurate, throwing an interception for basically every touchdown that we had. But 900 yards on the ground from Caleb Hawkins, he still wants to leave us. Pro potential as a deal breaker is so frustrating because if he stuck around for another season, he would then get drafted and keep our grade up. Luckily for us, we also have Tevin Cormier, who I wanted to start, but he just got injured so much that he wasn't out there as often. And basically all those receivers are gone anyway. I fired our offensive coordinator just to see what options we could have this year. I think we're going to be stuck with Ryan Applin, but he's a level 25 and he is a North Florida pipeline, so he fits right in. What is really going to make or break this season for us though is if we can get anybody into the NFL. If we can pull that off, I won't even care that all these guys are going to transfer away. And from the looks of it, Julius Tate is going to be a 7th round pick. He's our only chance. For some of the other guys that are leaving us, like Caleb Hawkins, I'm trying to convince them to come back, but they're not going to. And I guess Cameron Keys was an enticing of enough prospect at corner for us to get 2 guys into the NFL. We only needed 1, but we got 2. It is time to purchase Master Motivator. I'm not sure I've gone down this pathway in a rebuild. We can actually make it with tier 2, so players at those positions are less likely to transfer, but tier 3, everybody eats. That's the one that I want because it should increase how much XP we get with all our players. In the future, when we have more coach points, we'll make sure we cover that for every position. But for now, we can only do so much, and there are a lot of 4-star transfers that are interested in playing for Florida A&M. This is so big because this will just give us more guys that can get drafted. Of all those kids, Trey Jean was the first one to commit. I wasn't even recording at the time because I wasn't expecting to get signings in week 3 like this. But here's the thing. I put these 4 defenders all on a visit, and each one of them got a complimentary boost from it, which is why you're going to see some massive gains like this one, putting us in front of Auburn and Kansas State on a freshman 4-star corner. If I would have just gotten his hard sell correct, I bet Chestnut would have committed as well, but I'm glad we went with 2 soft sells because now we know for a fact that we're going to have a great hard sell in week 4. And for the players that I missed on, we just have to remove them from our board because we're not going to have a chance at catching a school like Oregon. I will say there were 2 3-star quarterbacks from big schools transferring that I was looking at as freshmen, but we've been forced to just decide on one of them because FIU's got a visit coming up. We're not going to get him, which means we're just relying that he's going to turn out all right. And on the other side of what I am hoping is 24 committed screens, we should be sitting with a full class of 35 players. I'd say things were looking pretty good off the start. We actually got 2 4-star cornerbacks. We got our quarterback that we wanted and plenty of 3 stars as well. But then I tried to just get us an extra player for our special teams, and he didn't commit anywhere. I have to say though, for the first time, the dev traits on these players in the class looks pretty solid. We have our first elite dev on George Boggs. He's going to come in as a junior strong safety, so we might have him for 2 seasons. We signed a top 25 class at Florida A&M. And how does that compare to the rest of the ACC? Well, it puts us in the top 5, so my expectation for this next season is we finish at least in the top 7. Of course, it'll take some time for these players to develop, and I'm hoping position changes actually works this season. It looks like this dual threat quarterback is a much better tight end. So that's where we're going to play him, and the transfer from Ole Miss was only a 3-star. I was hoping he was a 4-star when he was recruited, but his accuracy skill caps are really, really enticing. I'm also not sure if I mentioned it or not, but we were able to get running back Caleb Hawkins to commit back to Florida A&M, and I'm afraid I might need to slow down a little bit on recruiting because as I start to go through this roster, there are some positions where we just have too many guys. With our increased XP gains, we actually had multiple players jump up to an 88 overall, both of them at running back, but it's because they had star development. That's where dev trait plays a crucial role because Caleb Hawkins is now running back 3 for us, and I'm just not sure I can justify starting Kareem whenever senior quarterback Zaire Johnson's an 84. Since we know that his accuracy is maxed out, most of his best stuff comes on the ground. 67 deep throw accuracy is pretty brutal. But since most of our best receivers aren't actually receivers, they're tight ends, we don't need to throw it deep that often. We are going to have to start cutting players though and recruiting less because as you can see, we have to cut 10 to get this roster ready for next year. It was pretty easy to find players that weren't going to be useful to us though, and we still have 19 seniors graduating after we cut a bunch of them, which means we're going to have holes on this roster to fill. It's just a majority of our roster is a sophomore or a freshman. So even if I haven't been that successful at pulling it off, our recruiting strategy is staying the same. Just go after 4 stars, see how many we can get. It'd also be nice if we could have a couple of these cornerbacks drafted in the future. Currently, Cortland Guillory, without the tactician bonuses, is just an 87 overall, so if we can get him up like 1 more overall throughout the season, I think he would be drafted, just needs 4 skill points. And this team is the highest overall roster we've had yet as an 87, but again, our ACC schedule has a lot of tough opponents on here. We're not getting lucky with an easier pathway. Now, I will say, so far for recruiting, this is setting up to be our best class yet, just because I'm going after a lot of different 4 stars that are gyms as linebackers, and they don't have as many schools targeting them. Of course, Rashad Alexander, the quarterback we always find, does. But for a lot of these players, we're the only school going after them, and if we're not the only school, we're one of the only. I think we only need to get like 10 or 15 guys in this class as well. We know the transfer portal can treat us nice. We just have to perform well on the field. And if this is not the season that we beat FIU, I don't know what to do. It said the temperature for this game was 100 degrees, hence the reason that I moved out of Florida. And thinking back on it, I saw snow for the first time today. Kentucky is already getting some. I'm actually enjoying the weather being a lot colder. I can't believe he got that ball out. But it was just weird. I stepped off the plane yesterday coming back from Tuscaloosa, and it went from being so hot down there to freezing. Anyway, while we try and beat FIU still, looks like they're just gonna hit that field goal, I got a story. So I'm sitting there enjoying my tailgating experience. It was pretty crazy at Bama, and they had some great drinks. Anyway, saw a girl I thought looked pretty good, just started chatting it up with her. Must have thought I looked decent because we'd been talking for a bit. And then somehow it came up whether or not she had a ticket for the game. Well, turns out she did, but she wanted to stay out with her friend. She didn't really want to go anymore. So she says that she'd been trying to sell it, and this is what happened. In the greatest assist of all time, she pulls out our student seats app, the one that I own, and shows me it. Tells me that one of her sorority sisters told her to get it, but she didn't trust putting her bank account on there. It worried her a little bit, so I got to sit there and reassure her that no, it's perfectly safe, you're perfectly protected, and that was the greatest assist. So she starts setting it up to sell her ticket since she couldn't make it to the game, wanted someone else to, getting another student in there, and then 2 of you approach me as fans. There is nothing I prioritize more, so just ignore her for a bit, talk to you all for about 5 minutes, take some pictures, great time. Problem is, I turn around afterwards, and she's gone. Her and her friends, gone, never see her again, so that was just one moment from the trip. Why are we fumbling there? I just wanted to end the 3rd quarter right, man. But no, it felt great to be able to say that I actually was a part of student seats and that she's going to be safe. I mean, basically every student that we talked to down there this weekend was aware of it or had used it before. So that's it for my story. At the end of it, we get our touchdown. And I swear just telling stories while I play is like a cheat code for me to win them, because as you can see, we're closing this one out. 149 rushing yards for Tevin Cormier, and we're winning by a lot. That is what it took for us to finally take down FIU in season 5. And now I got to sit here and think if I got any other great stories I can share on here from this weekend, because clearly it helped us. Before I even sim that game against Stanford though, I noticed something. We're ranked inside the top 25. I don't know how we did it off of 1 win against Florida International, but it did. We have put the country on for at least 1 week, but we ended up putting them on for more than a week because we beat Stanford by quite a bit. It sets us up for the best position that we have ever been in to take on our in-city rivals, Florida State. Though for us to win games, it really does come down to whether or not we're running the football successfully. I actually think as we start this 4th quarter, it's better if we just settle for 3. Though that still gives our defense a lot of time to mess things up. In the final 2 minutes, they've driven down the field. I'm guarding the hitch route, but I'm going to leave him so open. And that means we are going to have to at least get in field goal range to beat Florida State for the first time as they stop the run. Since Tevin Cormier only has 38 rushing yards in this game, we are fortunate to even be in it. We're going to hit our tight end, hope that he catches it. But with Isaiah Butler-Tanner dropping it, we're going to have to beat the press on 3rd down, and it is such a terrible ball. Zaire Johnson and our punter set us up for failure because the Seminoles easily got back in field goal range, and I have a feeling they're going to score. This is somehow best case scenario for us, though, because we still have a chance. But you should be able to see the inaccuracy problem that we're dealing with. I mean, this is worse than the Alexander Bean days. That isn't going to be caught, is it? Not good news at all for us. We only have 1 timeout left, and that only got us like 6 yards. So we're really going to have to take a big shot down the field. We don't even have a big receiver that I feel comfortable throwing this football up to. I don't know if Johnson has any chance at agging it on this kid's head, but it turns out that he didn't. So we're going to lose to Florida State. We still have not been able to beat the Seminoles. I think it has to be coming soon, though, because we just played them extremely close. As for an update for all the prospects on our board, we have some week 6 and week 7 visits coming up. I think for all of them, besides Rashad Alexander, we'll be able to close it out, but maybe a win over Louisville this week helps us take him, which is exactly why after we were able to take down Georgia Tech on the road in overtime, 37-34, I'm hopping into my 3rd and final game of the season already against the Cardinals because I believe this could be the one that sets us up at 4-1 and gives us a really good chance to finish out the year strong. I will say the Cardinals have not had a great year themselves, but I saw the roster that they were working with on paper, and I should have been a little more aware. They are extremely good, so good that we're trying to get into the end zone with this play. And if this onside kick goes pretty badly or good for us, we'll still have a chance at coming back. All we needed was the clock to not get below 2 minutes, though they're hitting us with the play action on this first play. That is not a good start for us there. We have to be on top of it. 2nd and inches, I mean, they even get a yard. It's over. But guess what? We held them. It's 3rd and 3 now, and we're sending in 7 again. Don't push him over. Okay, there were different ways they could have approached it, but they are settling for a field goal, which means we're going to have a minute to respond. And I wish it was as easy as we could just burn them deep when they're pressing, and we'd get a bunch of yards. But that's not the case. We're actually really fortunate that that play just worked out for us. We're also going to find our tight end in the flat. If he was fast enough, he'd be able to get out of bounds too. And I can't believe it. With 57 seconds remaining, we've already worked our way basically into the red zone. I have to give them their credit though. They've been pretty good about stopping the run. They're leaving Lewis wide open. And this is why we played this game. There are so many 4-stars on a visit that we need to get to commit this week. We're handing it off. If Tevin Cormier just punches this in, he'll be over 100 rushing yards in this game as well. With the way that we just handled that though, they have a chance to still be in field goal range. So we have to be extremely careful. And I see a lot of guys open deep, but they did not go towards them. Anytime you get match coverage into the mix, it's a little bit risky, but not when you're going to lurk them like that. You can just get off the field right now. It always feels great to beat the Cardinals. And I'm sure my Kentucky Wildcats are going to do that in a couple weeks as well, because Mark Stoops is motivated again. When I was a kid growing up, we never beat the Gators. It was sad. We'd lost like 30 in a row till we finally overcame that. This past weekend, we beat them 38-7. And I was really hoping that visit was going to be enough for Rashad Alexander to commit, but he is still short of having enough. If we just take down FAU though, with another week of visits in a rivalry, I think we're about to see a lot more. And James Clay was one of the gyms, so that's a very good start. So was Burr, but where is our quarterback? We still can't get a 4-star. Maybe it's because we focus more on running the football. I mean, Tevin Cormier just set the single game rushing touchdowns record. But hang on, at the same time, Zaire Johnson of all quarterbacks has passed for the most yards in a game. It makes me have to wonder what we did to the poor Owls. While our defense gave up 31, we dropped 56 points on their head, 405 yards, 4 touchdowns. It might be Zaire Johnson's best game ever. Just 4 touchdowns on 106 rushing yards here. You know what though? Things are definitely going up. We're sitting at number 18 in the top 25. And even though we have our one ACC loss to Florida State, what did I say? We just got to finish within like the top 5 or 7 in our conference this year. We've also made a lot more signings though. With this going to a recruiting battle and a visit coming up for Florida, I know that we're not going to win. But even if we don't, we have some more offensive linemen and receivers that we're most likely going to get as this season goes on. Since I've already hopped into 3 games though, I am going to have to simulate the rest of these. And with the Hurricanes having a 99 overall offense, I think we know how this is going to go. You know what though? I don't care what the result of that game was. We actually won a recruiting battle for Rashad Alexander. I never imagined that, especially since the Hurricanes beat us by 30. This is what the rest of our schedule is looking like. All of them are winnable games. And while we got some more coach points, we might as well make it so our defensive backs are less likely to transfer, and we can also get more XP for them. The next position group that we're going to want to work on is running backs and then quarterbacks. I just really hope as we sim through these final 5 matchups that things don't completely fall apart. And I think it's safe to say so far so good, as Tevin Cormier has already set the single season rushing touchdowns record with 4 games left in the regular season. Although our wins might not be much, like this one in overtime over Pitt, and this one a week after on the road at Wake Forest. Our offense has been the best it's ever been. I've seen Zaire Johnson set a few as well, passing yards wise, even though these stats don't look that great. It's the 16 touchdowns on the ground for Tevin Cormier really making a difference. Though unfortunately, I do believe the sophomore is going to be gone to the NFL draft since he already used a redshirt year after this season. He's an 89 overall, though I want to convince him to return. If he leaves us at the moment, I don't have a plan to replace him unless we look for a transfer through the portal, and Georgia is going to come out of nowhere to win over this center. But we just have to trust that if we keep on winning, we'll still figure things out in the future. Currently, we're sitting at that number 5 spot in the ACC. There's still a few conference games left, so we don't know how things will shape out, but I think we're going to end up having a pretty good year. As you can see, once we've arrived to week 14, we never lost again. We dropped 80 points on Sam Houston's head. We finished 10-2. And I just have to look at the stats from this game. How did we drop 80 on 386 total yards? I don't think I've ever seen anything like it. Maybe against an FCS school, but Sam Houston finished this season 4-8. We're not getting into the ACC championship. We might not even get into the playoffs since we're ranked number 13. But all we can do is hope, and every single one of these prospects is wrapped up besides this center. We had him on a visit, still didn't have a big impact, but we're going to get the rest of these guys. Either way, this season completely exceeded my expectations, though looking at the 6 top 25 conference championships championship games, we have no hope at getting a playoff spot. I know better than to look forward to it because it's just not happening. BYU's quarterback ended up going over to LSU. That seems to be a pipeline. Players like to play in that state after escaping out in Utah. We got Missouri State in the Tony the Tiger Sun Bowl for finishing inside the top 15. Not a very prestigious game for us, but when you got number 18 Cincinnati, number 19 Colorado State making the playoff, what can you do? It never feels good to see 10-3 teams like Clemson make it above us. 9-3 Florida was ranked ahead of us. Penn State, I think they won the conference championship, also ranked ahead of us. But if we beat Florida State, none of that matters. Dev trait time. I want to see some more impacts. Rashad Alexander, the 4-star quarterback, is normal. Though one of my goals in this class was to rebuild our receiving core for the future. We got a star dev, an impact dev, a normal dev, and an elite dev. So between those four, we got every single development trait in our receiving group. You have to keep in mind as well, these are only the players that we have signed before the transfer portal, especially if we beat Missouri State, who is 5-7 in this bowl game. I expect us to get a high quality list of transfers that want to play for us. Though maybe the committee did the right thing leaving us out of the playoff. I mean, this one's not over, and they're going to be in the red zone. We are playing like a bunch of frauds at the moment. It's not looking good. But maybe Missouri State will mess this up. It's about to be 3rd and 3. And they're probably expecting a blitz here when we're just going to drop back into coverage. Though we weren't expecting the read option. There is no excuse for being in a tight game here. We're just going to sit in the pocket until there's a holding call, which means no matter what we do on this run, it's all coming back. So we better get ready for a 1st and 20. I'd like to just get a little bit of it back. So we're going to run this RPO with our 76 speed tight end. And then we're going to set him on a drag on this next play as well. He's a senior, though how are we getting boxed up like that? Our receiving core is simply not good enough at the moment. I'm glad they didn't get a hand on that. And what are we doing? We got our best running back of this rebuild, and we haven't been handing it off, even though we know we have a better offensive line. This might be the final time that Tevin takes any snaps for Florida A&M, so we need him to finish with more than 100 yards. And that's exactly what he has done, as we've just closed this game out. We're going to have to kick a field goal here in a second, though if we stay on our feet, we might get in. And that could be really bad news for us. They have gotten a chance, but our defense is great. 4th and 15, game on the line. It's most likely over for Missouri State anyway, but they're throwing it up, and I thought they might have caught it. Good news, they didn't, so we finished with 11 wins. I don't know if we're going to be able to repeat this type of success next season, especially since the second that he puts up a respectable stat line, Zaire Johnson is going to graduate, but I really like what I saw. Tevin Cormier, 21 touchdowns, 1,000 yards. And then on the receiving side of things, Skylar Lewis, our number 1 guy, he is also a senior, though Matt Irvin, our number 2 guy, is just a sophomore. What's crazy is if some of these teams had a slightly worse year, we would have been in the playoff. And when it comes to convincing players to return, only George wants to transfer away because he's not getting the playing time that he wants. We got him out of the portal last year. So maybe I missed. I wasn't playing our 88 overall, who is a bowling ball, by the way, 5'9", 240 pounds. He just wasn't as fast, which is why he wasn't out there. Unless he magically wants to come back, which I don't think he will. He is gone, though I didn't see anything about Tevin wanting to transfer or declare for the draft early. So that is very good news, as we just lost about every starter on this team, and not a single one of them got drafted. Without our pro potential grade being that high, I don't know if there's going to be any 4-stars that want to transfer to our team. But to my surprise, there's actually a lot of them that have already locked us out, and still a lot more available afterwards. And it turns out we actually have a full recruiting board, even though that was never in my plans. Now, we're not going to sign anywhere near that amount of 4-stars. We just don't have the hours to put into them, but we're going to have to revisit after a week, see which players we stand a real chance on. And every so often you get pretty lucky because, as you can see, nobody else is going after this 4-star junior. We're just going to get him for free. As I start to look through some of these other prospects, though, when we don't have much information about them, it's going to be pretty hard for us to win any of these battles. We just got to give it our best shot. At least it should be pretty safe to say that we're going to get one of the freshman 4-star corners. We got another one on a visit this week. The hard sells, after doing a bunch of soft sells, have been figured out after another week, so that's a good sign, though there are other guys that we just couldn't close out on. That's just the logistical downside of not immediately hard selling, but we got a 4-star receiver transfer, and that's the only commit that we got. I thought for sure Patrick Traynor was a lock, but apparently we're going to have to wait one more week. We've taken a huge leap on Jeremy Boyd. And apparently I scheduled too many visits for this final week before we could get Darren Quick on one, which means we're just going to have to take a 50-50 gamble on his hard sell since Maryland has entered the battle. I'm feeling pretty good though about the class that we put together no matter what happens during this final week, because you already saw how many guys out of high school we had signed. And it turns out Darren Quick wanted to play for us, so that's going to help our edge. While our defensive line can't get completely better, Penn State takes that defensive tackle. USC gets the receiver, even though we had him on a visit. Though I will say, it's not the end of the world. We still got a lot of additions to this team 23 signings in total. Dev trait-wise, one of the 4-star freshman corners has star development, while Jeremy Boyd has normal, so he might stick around all 4 years. And I just wanted to check out our school grades as we went over to see the top classes in the country, because I haven't looked at these for a bit. Some of them are not increasing very fast. If they're going to continue to grow, though, we're going to have a lot of success year after year. It can't just be one solid season. We signed a top 14 class, which is going to help us whenever it comes to having good success again. It's number 4 in our conference. And you could argue that I kind of just ignored the quarterback position, but that's because I didn't want to have any reason for Kareem Mamula to transfer away. I do think it'd be nice if we had another running back, though, which is why we're going to take Matt Irvin, a gadget receiver with 98 acceleration, over to that spot. He's an 89 overall if we move him now. And that made me think, why don't I take another freshman gadget receiver and move him over to that position? Because next year, after Tevin Cormier decides he's going to declare for the NFL draft early, we're going to need a better running back, and we can move over the other guy then. As for a gritty possession receiver with only 82 speed, my plan anytime I recruit those guys is always move them over to tight end. We're immediately getting an 82 overall true freshman. And I know for a fact, as we look at these training results, we are guaranteed to have players put on to the NFL this season, which is very exciting, but we are not guaranteed to have as good of a year as we had last year still. Problem is, Kareem is currently only an 81 overall, and I think his accuracy just didn't go up the way that we want it to. He still has a lot of room to grow. But I think just because of the way that we've been recruiting, this team is extremely loaded, coming in as a 94 overall with only a few players even wanting to transfer. I couldn't be more excited about that since we are set to have such a great season, though we have to play at number 7 Florida at the Swamp, and then we have our conference games, which are always tough, including against Florida State, who I want to finally beat. So I have a feeling that we're probably not going to make it back to 11 wins this year, but as long as we continue to have like 8-9 win seasons, it's only going to be easier to recruit, as you can see. Now, I just remembered in my new office setup, the desk is also standing, so I'm going to be a little bit healthier rest of this video. We got to point out the first quarterback prospect I'm excited about since season 1, because we got a gem in Marvin Tolbert. 95 throw power, nobody else putting a lot of hours on him at the moment. In fact, they're going after Dean Jackson, who is from Mississippi as well, so I hope they continue to put their focus there. Just other 4-stars on the board. To be honest, if we win 11 games again, we're not going to have any problems signing most of them, but how we start the season at the Swamp is very crucial. Even though we have a super young quarterback, this is the first time we've had a team of this caliber. And I just realized we are not walking out at the Swamp. No, we're at a kickoff game, so this is a neutral site, which increases our odds even more. It's going to be pretty crazy too if I just decide that Mamula is our answer for the future, because he is off to a hot start, and he's around for a few more years, so there's no reason for us to get another quarterback. Kareem Mamula is exactly the distraction that this offense needed to take the focus away from Tevin. He can only break so many tackles on every single play, and we might just need to try and scramble for the first. I will say, even though things were moving a lot better in the first half, we've been held up a little bit by Florida, though we're still up by 24. And instead of finishing this game holding them scoreless, really embarrassing them, they settled for a field goal. That was when they were down by 34, and instead of trying to come back, they just gave up the way that they should have. It's not like they would have pulled it off, but I would have liked to beat them that way, and we no longer need to worry about the Panthers. We have to worry about Auburn, though, trying to steal Marvin Tolbert away from us. They're still going after him. We just figured out what his hard sell should be. And you know what? If we can't get Dean Jackson with a hard sell on him, we're going to take those hours, and we're going to start spending them on visits for some of these players as soon as possible against Virginia. Headed into that game, there's no guarantees that we're going to be undefeated because we have to play on the road at Wake Forest, who is also undefeated. But I like our odds anyway, depending on what their overall is. I'm going to guess like a 72, and that's exactly what it was. So as you can see, loading into the next week, although there are players that are unhappy that might want to transfer, we're 4-0. And one of the guys that we picked up, Rashard Sims, has set the Florida A&M career interceptions record. As our free safety for the past 3 seasons, we picked him up from Virginia Tech, where he never had an interception before, but he has been finding success. And if everything goes right, he should be getting drafted at the end of his senior season, which is exactly what we wanted. I'm really questioning whether or not we should play this game against Virginia, though, just knowing that we have so many other important ones coming up on our schedule. We'll probably have to hop into the one on the road at Florida State. But in my opinion, it's worth it, or else we're never going to sign a prospect like Marvin Tolbert and a couple of these offensive linemen. We're seeing those battles become closer, and this is our best way to finish them off. With the way that we just handled Florida, though, I don't believe this will be a problem at all. Now, I can't lie, I've been pretty disappointed in our offense throughout this first half, even though we're scoring a touchdown here. Only because that's our first one of the day. They've held us to just field goals before it. At least due to how great our defense is, though, we didn't have to score that many points. We won 23-7. And whenever our starting running back was injured, with our backup only getting 3.1 yards per carry, we have noticed a drastic shift to our offense. I was hoping that Tevin Cormier wouldn't be on the injury report for long either, either, but he's broken his fibula, so he's out for basically the rest of the regular season. And this is where us having 2 running backs instead of 1 that were super good would have been really clutch for this season. At least Marvin Tolbert has committed to the program alongside a couple other 4-stars. But without our star player, I have very little faith as we have to sim most of the rest of the games this year that we're going to continue to have success. I don't even have to check the schedule to see that we just lost to 77 overall Syracuse at home. We're missing the kid that carried us all of last year. And this is so frustrating because our defense fell apart the exact same week, giving up 52 points. We've not even come close to giving up that many points this year. The rest of our schedule continues to look hard. And I better get straight back to doing some more recruiting with these extra hours because this is just looking like another one of those seasons that we might not want to remember in a few months. Since most of our school grades have gone up though, there's a decent number of prospects that are still available to us, including a receiver from Hawaii as a 5-star no one else wants. I will gladly take a chance on him, and even if we don't win some of these games, I should be winning on the recruiting side. I truly thought we might collapse more than this, but as you can see, approaching week 12, going on the road at Florida State, we have a top 15 matchup coming up because we're sitting at 7-2. And conference-wise, we're probably not going to make it to the ACC championship unless North Carolina loses another game, unless we have this 6-way tiebreaker. We're just not going to get there. But I think something far more important is on the line, and that's a playoff spot if we're able to win out, but that's also going to be a challenge. See, by this point in the season, we have also lost our starting linebacker, Trey Jean. He's out for 2 weeks, just like Tevin Cormier is. They will both be back for our matchup against Miami to end the season. And that at least gives me a little bit of confidence to sim that game, potentially winning it, but we still have to get past Florida State first. We also have to get past another school that I can't think of at the moment, so they couldn't have been that relevant. But here's the thing, even though our offense has taken a major hit, we're playing for the city of Tallahassee with our 3rd string running back in now because our 2nd string one just got injured, and I think we're about to pick up this 3rd down, plus more. Brooks is getting into the end zone untouched. We might just beam this ball at Florida State's mascot as well. Why'd they switch up the angle? I have to check how accurate Brooks was. Could we use him as a gadget receiver? That's what we're about to find out. Did he hit the Seminole, who's not moving at all? This ball did not come close. Pretty disappointing stuff there, but you know what? We have worked really hard to close this one out. As our defense, it's been incredible the entire game like we'd expect it to, but it's our offense that is just taking strides forward in this 3rd and 4th quarter. When we signed Kareem Mamula out of the transfer portal, I wasn't sure if he would be the guy that would lead us past Florida State for the very first time. Or maybe it was the 2nd time. I haven't been here for a few days. I might have forgotten if we beat them earlier on in this video. But either way, we have found our guy, and through just 10 matchups, he has already set the single season passing touchdowns record, which we knew wasn't that hard to achieve. The fate of our season lands in the hands of Sim, though, as we're about to play against SMU in Miami this way. And I guess if the Mustangs are going to beat us by 2 in overtime, it doesn't even matter what happens against the Hurricanes. I know that we didn't have the best offensive game in the world. I mean, we couldn't even run the ball, but we gave up over 500 total yards of offense. So our playoff hopes are over. This season is done, and I just want to get past this game. I kind of figured that we weren't going to come out on top and that we would finish this season unranked, which what it all comes down to is just the fact that our conference is extremely competitive, that there are multiple teams that are playoff caliber in it. I'm not really sure if that's going to affect the rest of our recruiting class, but as you can see, championship contender is too low for Greg Waiters. It's dropped down to a B-, which means we're going to have multiple players leave. And there's just other prospects where pipelines are going to beat us out, hard sells are going to beat us out. We'll see how this season closes. I at least know for a fact that we should be able to beat Miami, Ohio in our bowl game. But early national signing day is hit, and you're going to see so many prospects that have just decided on other schools. Now, we might get a couple receivers. Texas coming up close right there. Penn State is going to hold that receiver back from coming to our school. We still got a chance on the 5-star. But what I am most worried about again is the players that might want to leave our program at the end of the season due to our school grades instead of staying here, which is why we have to win. You might think that we'll beat the Redhawks by 50 points, and we could, but we're also on a 2-game losing streak. And I know I said this last season about Tevin Cormier potentially playing in his last game for us, but this one for sure is, which is why I wanted to get one more good touchdown run with him. I truly think this season could have gone way differently for us if he just stayed healthy. But since he didn't and we were stuck using an 82 overall, we are never going to know. On the passing side of things, Kareem Mamula is just set to keep getting better. But with a potential star freshman quarterback coming in, I'm not sure if I can guarantee him the starting spot yet either. I think dev trait is going to matter a lot into that decision, and even though we've gotten 3 elite dev players out of this class, it looks like he's just going to have impact. At least for those elite dev players, though, they're basically guaranteed to be like a 90, 95 overall in just a couple of seasons. There's so many players that want to leave, including for playing style, though. And we're probably about to watch them go commit to a bunch of schools that already made it to the playoff. If you've ever wondered how you can get a massive setback after you keep on getting better every season, this is it. We're going to be a 2-star team prestige as well. I don't think I'm going to convince any of these players to return. But Tevin Cormier did decide to stay. I didn't notice he had a low persuasion attempt, so that was pretty lucky right there. Maybe we'll get lucky a couple more times. Turns out we're going to be getting James Clay back, who had star development, just a freshman linebacker. We're also going to get Patrick Traynor returning. He was one of the corners I was super excited about last year. We also get 89 overall Tavares Chestnut, but I can't be too excited because we're still losing a lot of great guys that could have been amazing starters for us last year, and then guys hitting senior graduation that won't be back. If you factor in all of those losses, I have a feeling that next season's team is going to be very similar to what we just had, and our championship contender hasn't even gone up high enough to recruit the 5-star tackle, so we're just going to get him off of our board. There's still a lot of guys that we're keeping on there though, which is going to affect our odds of getting some of the 4-stars that are already interested in transferring to our team, and there are some really solid options. In fact, I've taken some hours off of these high school prospects just to make sure that we can go after every 4-star transfer that is interested in our team, because there were a lot of guys inside like the top 30, the top 50, and I'm not sure how high my success rate's going to be. I've already lost a couple of battles, including one for 5-star Terrence Addy, since our hard sell is no longer as good as Washington's. We don't have a pipeline there, and I had a receiver on our board that just locked us out after we had him on a visit. But to be fair, that kid was in first place for us, so I have to have some faith that we're still going to be able to sign him. I'm also going after only transfers from here on out. We did get Miles Ramish, and I thought it was the transfer receiver until I realized these are still the high schoolers that we were targeting. Anyway, Mitchell Lewinberg is the transfer receiver. He was from Alabama, and I just want to get more transfers in the future since I feel like our base roster should be good enough. We have to build off of it. Potentially get into a championship in like the next 3 or 4 seasons. We were even losing battles for some of the 3-stars I added on at the last second. But like every other class that we sign, I'm normally pretty smart about the players we target. We win a lot of the battles that we finish, and I'm seeing star development quite a few times, which is what I want. As long as the guys have at least impact, they'll develop pretty well through their 4 years being with Florida A&M. We just have to be able to retain them at the same time, and Matt Irvin was the kid I wanted to move to running back. He would be a 98 overall, but at the moment, he is also our best receiver, and he still has a little bit of room to grow in this category, but you know what? I think we're going to make him a running back anyway. It's a pretty weird decision considering that Tevin Cormier is returning for his senior year. But listen, you just have to trust the process. We're going to make it so our running backs get a bigger offseason training boost. I should also do that with our quarterback before we increase anything else. And that's going to get us our first 99 overall of this video. By the way, my camera stopped working when I was standing. It's not like I got lazy or anything. I preferred to be up. But you know what? We have a really good team that we need to be locked in while using, because a lot of these guys are better than what we're going to find in the future. And I have never had a double-headed monster as good as the one that we currently have. Tevin Cormier is up to 95 speed as well. I didn't imagine that ever be possible since he was a power running back. Kareem Mamula has also jumped up to an 88, which means next season he's going to be like a 92 overall, all because accuracy is going up. Though if there's any one player that made the most impressive jump on our roster, it has to be Titus Irwin. This is why you want elite dev guys, because he went from a 74 to an 87. I don't think it's going to be a surprise for us that is going to get us our first 99 overall team. And if you look at our schedule, even though we still have to play both Miami and Florida State, I think this is the weakest one we've ever had. It's taken us a little bit, but there is a lot of potential out of this team to start setting some program tradition. I believe this will be the first year that we can make it to the college football playoff. And I'm so confident in that we're going to be doing all of our recruiting during the transfer portal period after we have a super good year. With no fear at all, I've just simulated our first couple games. Against UAB, we got 5 touchdowns out of Kareem. And apparently we beat them worse than we beat an FCS school, 70-0. This cannot be the year that we lose to Stanford. I remember there was a point in this rebuild where this was one of the only wins that we were able to get. And it seems like nothing is changing as we just beat them by 10 points. In the time period that we played 3 games though, the Seminoles have only played 1, which is a little weird. But to be fair, I think we proved last season they're not a worry. Unless they've just gotten so much better, because we've only improved. They did just force us to a 2nd and 16, which I'm not a massive fan of, and we're not making that catch. We have been forced to go away from running the football, but look how open Chauncey is. Our tight end is quick as well getting in. If we can just hold them on a 4th and 4, this game is over. They're 100% going to be looking underneath, and we just didn't stick with the curl route. The good thing is they're not moving the football very fast. I was watching the flat, but they went to the other side of the field. And once they get into hurry-up mode, that's where things get a lot more tricky for us, as they're catching us off guard, and they're about to be in. As incredible as that hit was, they're going to have a receiver in the corner of the end zone. And we're going to need multiple first downs if we want to close this one out, though RPOs feel super explosive. If they really commit down to the run as well, we know that we have a 97 speed receiver that can't dust just one, but can dust 2 players at the same time, and he's getting in. I actually think that Mitchell Lewinberg might have been the most important player this team added in the portal. He's made our offense extremely dynamic, but they clearly just don't respect the user. At least that play is going to be coming back due to a holding call. And unless the Seminoles score quickly, they've already used one of their 3 timeouts and they're getting tackled out of bounds. It probably shouldn't have been that way, but we kind of guided him there. This time, they're not as lucky. And I truly just want to see improvement out of this team whenever it comes to closing out some of these matchups. If we could just get to the playoffs, it's really all that I want to do this year. Not going to be possible with run defense like that. And these guys just need to be good with their hands here. We jump up, we catch it with Cormier. Probably not the role he thought he'd be playing for this team when he returned for his senior season. But maybe we're just keeping him healthy so later down the season, we can fully unleash him. I will say one of the games I'm very worried to simulate is against Syracuse because they took us down last year. But guess what? We've improved to 5-0 and there are only 7 players that want to leave. A lot of it has to do with our playing style. I think we might still be giving up too many points because it's mostly defensive players. And I really don't understand our current ranking unless they're factoring in how close some of these matchups have been. At the moment, we're undefeated, but as you can see, we're only up to number 15. We've won 6 games, and they could just be looking for quality wins, which we could get on the road at number 18, North Carolina. What we're doing is we're going to play this one, and then we're going to play our game against Miami the week after. And our main goal in this one was to just prove why it is disrespectful to have us even closely ranked to the Tar Heels. It is safe to say that Kareem Mamula is turning into one of the best signings in this rebuild. Though I will say, one of the things I forget to give credit to sometimes is our offensive line, which we have built around him, and it's at its best right now. We have so many seniors or juniors declaring early that are above like an 88. And I'm pretty sure that 3 of our 5 starters came through the transfer portal, which is why it's going to be my entire focus next year. For now, though, we're still ranked behind multiple teams that have already picked up a loss. And we have number 19 Miami coming to town. We don't play Clemson, so this is the hardest game we have left on our conference schedule. But here's the thing, even if we happen to lose this game, I think we still get into the playoff. I always like when one of them is in our control though, because we have the ball down by 4 minutes left, where I'm not too worried that we're going to lose to the Hurricanes. I trust that we're going to get things done offensively. We're going to find Irwin underneath. He hits him with the spin move, going to the 30. And we have a double route over on that side of the field that I want to throw up to the transfer receiver. On his head, he gets a catch. Wow, getting railed in the back. I know what you're going to say in the comments, but what else was I supposed to say to describe that catch? I mean, when you can make those types of plays with ease, you should be able to go super far throughout the year. And that hit just got me fired up because it is now 4th and 8. We got a sack. There's a flag. Okay, it was against Miami. They held and they still were not able to contain our defensive line. I think that just shows how good they are on that side of the ball as well. It's not just our offensive line. This is a complete team. And when Tevin Cormier gets to be brought out later in the year, he's not been unleashed much, but his newfound speed is going to make him very good. I cannot stress enough how pumped up I am for the playoffs, though we lost the football. I feel like I have no choice but to challenge it. And I swear, if he was not down, he needs to go back to the bench. First angle and the second angle, horrendous. But you know what? It turns out that that challenge was worth it, and we're 1 first down away. If we get it, this game's over. If not, they're going to have 2 minutes to score a touchdown for the win. I think we're going to step up, try and make a guy miss. But at the end of the day, we're still going to have to settle, and that's not great. Listen, just take it as a life lesson. You never want to settle, but we have done it in this situation, and it's probably going to work out for us. But that is never a guarantee, and there they go, spiking the ball. We're simply going to drop a lot of these guys back, and we got a sack all over him. He didn't know what to do with the dude all in his face, so they're not even going to get off another play. We're going to beat Miami in this rivalry, and that might be the first time that we've done it. It's the Battle of Florida. It just said it was the first time we took down the Hurricanes. And our first of our final 4 games is against Virginia, who has not won a single one. There's just no way that we're their first win. I will say, though, I've been keeping an eye on the Heisman watch, and we have yet to have a player up here this entire video. It's annoying, but I guess if we're going to win the Heisman Trophy, we need to be able to beat Virginia. There is just no way we lost. I'm sorry, Kareem Mamula went for over 300 yards passing, 160 yards on the ground, 2 touchdowns out of Matt Irvin. We even rushed well with our quarterback. But you're telling me of every team on this schedule, the one that takes us down is the Cavaliers, who might not win another game the rest of this season? It's so annoying because all that I wanted was a playoff appearance, but we fell to number 18 off of that loss like we should have. That team was awful. And after that, I can't guarantee that we're still going to win these final 3 games. Duke is typically very good in sim. I guess they're not this year though, falling to 4-5, only having 119 total yards of offense. And our opponent after them is FIU, but they're 8-2, so they might come out of nowhere to ruin our season like they did in the past. If we're being honest, it was a true concern of mine, but we did put 48 points up on their head. It's super nice that we're still not dealing with any injuries. And as things currently stand, we're the best team in this conference. I can still imagine a world though where we somehow lose to Virginia Tech and both Virginia schools just ruin our entire year. It turns out that since that screen doesn't work, they are a 69 overall, which is worse than FIU. And after taking down the Hokies Smokies, we just have to reflect back on the fact that we actually lost to a team that's going to go 1-11. In the final week of the season, though, we didn't have to play anybody. We're number 4 in the country headed into the conference championship. And that's a better spot than I thought that we might be in just because of how terrible our loss was. But if we win this, we should get a first round bye. I don't really think that I have to worry about teams like Boise State jumping over us with the same record. And here we go. One of the teams that we didn't have to play this season scored less points per game than us, but they might have made our year more difficult than I wanted. Whether they came on us or at us hard, I had to have faith that we could compete in this matchup. You see the deep shot that we're taking to take the lead. And I'm telling you, without him transferring in, this team is vastly different. Mitchell Lewinberg has been such an impactful player. Direct snap, not going to go well. But Matt Irwin has still rushed for 120 yards, and we just have to get them off of the field. Can we make it over to that ball? I will say I've definitely noticed some more weaknesses on our team that we're going to try and address next year. Just because we're going up against a program that always signs top 10 classes. They have a lot of talent out there, but I have faith in this team. And nobody was guarding Irvin on a massive 3rd and 7. Then we're going to fake a play action to him because they have no choice but to bite down. We've been running the ball pretty effectively. It just opens up a lot for us. The RPO, though, boxed. We have all-star players on our offensive line. But in this 4th quarter, Clemson's defense has just come alive out of nowhere. And I don't think we have the speed to get that first. Just like the Tigers had to do, we've been held to a field goal. And they've gotten in the position to get another one versus us. We're just trying to keep them out of the end zone. I cannot believe it because that play was run to perfection, but they didn't hang on to the football. So here we go. We get it back, down by 2. And this is going to be our game to lose with Tevin Cormier coming out onto the field for one of the first times. I don't want to say that we just haven't used him because there's still been moments in this game where we decided to. But on 2nd and 10, when I really wanted him out there, he isn't there. We have Durbin, who is our 3rd stringer, still making a play. I don't think Cole Durbin was expecting that. We got a new running back out there every single time. And Irwin needed one more block. I might need to have a talk with the receiver that just ran straight by that defender. Great cut up though, not getting a first. I think they know that it's most likely inevitable, which is why we're just going to throw the ball on 3rd down. Their man coverage stuck really well. And I have to wonder, did we make things more complicated than they should be? Just hand it off, get the first down, and go on with our day. Now we're bringing out this play. It looks like Irwin is wide open. And although there was some concern, we can just center things up and kick that game-winning field goal. Right before we got it off the first time, they iced us, but it's as close as it could be. So in Florida A&M's first ACC Conference Championship appearance, we get to take it home to the fans. At the beginning of this year, I wasn't going to guarantee that we'd get this title. I just thought that we should at least get to the college football playoff. Now we've done both, though we didn't have a Heisman winner. And I'm kind of wondering how, because we were running behind an amazing offensive line. I guess none of our numbers were too shocking, but Kareem Amula played really well. We also had 19 rushing touchdowns, 1,500 yards out of Matt Irvin on the ground. And by the way, with Kareem's rushing touchdowns, he had one less total touchdown than the Heisman Trophy winner, except he did it in a tougher conference than what Louisiana plays in, so that's disappointing. I got him a couple of really good receivers, DeAndre Clay and Mitchell Lewinberg, and he just thrived. But now we have to figure out what this future holds for the Rattlers. We're in a playoff game against number 12 seeded Florida. I mean, I'm sure they got better, but we blew them out of the water last year. I would have liked to play Boise State. On our side of the bracket, we have undefeated Georgia, Oklahoma State. Other side looks more dangerous. And it might be a little bit delusional, but I think we can just skate right past the Gators without any issues, moving on to the semifinals. Again, this is a team that we beat last season, but when we didn't get off to as hot of a start, we have struggled to pull away. I can't believe it, but we're currently trailing by 3. Just looking at the defense that they have out there, we're probably going to have to run with it here or try and throw it. If we got that off, though, it would have most likely been an interception. Man-to-man coverage, they're sticking on. Titus Irwin didn't really mind, but I thought he might have. There's no way that this deep shot works out unless we can hit that back shoulder. And Kareem is just making all sorts of throws. Imagine the throws he's going to be able to make with another year. I guess that is if we don't just win a championship this season, because we're setting up, putting ourselves in a spot to hopefully close out this first game, and I just hit the wrong button. For whatever reason, I thought that was our slant, and it wasn't. I really don't know what happened there, if the play call flipped or what, but they're about to get a major run. And as they get closer to field goal range, I believe we have one choice: send the heat as they run. We had to get more guys on the line than they did, hope that one of them slipped through a hole. Now a punt return could really turn things around for us, and we messed it up. I really thought that cutback was going to open up more than it did, but we see some press coverage. Do they have deep safety help? They don't. I don't know what they're doing. I don't know what they're doing, but Leeuwenberg is going to carry us on to the semifinals here. I'm even trying to run out the rest of this clock. I don't want to give the Gators a chance to respond. And this is how we beat Clemson. We made sure they didn't get that though we could have gotten in. I guess a field goal could be blocked, so it wouldn't be the worst thing in the world. And with an Orange Bowl win, we are headed on to the semis. We just struggled against the 12 seed though, and we're about to play #1 undefeated Georgia in our next game. I think it's pretty obvious that this just might be where our playoff run ends. But on the off chance that it doesn't, we are one more win away from getting to the national championship with an HBCU. I've noticed that Maurice Johnson, pretty difficult to stop as a receiver on the Bulldogs. But you have to think, all the cornerbacks that we've been recruiting over the years can handle him. In a game like this, every drive matters, and both teams have been doing a great job of making the most out of their drives. As you can see, we're scoring a lot. But we could double the score going into halftime. In order to do so, we just need 17 more yards. There is a gaping hole for Irvin, and I am liking our odds now. We wait, we see our slant, and we hit him. Georgia would never go away, though. You see the position that we're in. 3rd and 6, 5 minutes left, up by 7. We have to watch for that route over the middle of the field. I see a wide open hitch. We missed the tackle. And do not tell me that's the receiver I said that we were going to lock up. It was, but the ball is back in our control. We might have the final drive of this game. And surely it's time for Tevin Cormier. Just seeing the wear and tear picking up there. It's going to be a broken tackle for a first. Maybe our offensive line's not falling apart. I just saw so many different abilities get activated. And that is the power in having such a good team. Blocks are there. They catch us. But we have no reason to make things complicated. Just a simple QB sneak. At some point, even with us rotating running backs, they're going to figure out how to stop the run. So we're going to have a big 3rd down. And knowing the position that we're in, I might just consider this 4-down territory. We'll see how they defend. One of our favorite plays from this video, Chancey getting multiple great blocks from a receiver. And that might just be the play of the game. We had a blocking receiver set us up for the win. It'll literally take just 1 first down as the Bulldogs are calling timeouts. We're in. And luckily for us, they have been awful with their clock management. They still have 2 of their timeouts left, but they're only just now getting past midfield. I mean, there is no reason for us to do anything besides just drop our guys back in coverage and pray that this Hail Mary doesn't work out for them. They get out a fast throw. Hang on, though. I was concerned until I noticed they don't have any timeouts. They're not going to get off another snap. And by 1 second, we are going to beat Georgia, advancing to the national championship. We might just do it in our first playoff appearance. Granted, I believe that we should have made it the past 2 seasons as well. We had the talent for it. And on the other side of the bracket, Ole Miss has beat Arizona State. They've beat Oregon, and they've also beaten Ohio State by a ton. I'd imagine they probably played Georgia throughout the year, and it was a pretty close game. So with how close ours was against them, this will probably be the same. And I was not kidding. It's going to be the day for Tevin Cormier to get as much action as he was getting in his first couple seasons. I have to admit, for all he has done for the program, we neglected him quite a lot this season. But if it's gotten us to this point, it wasn't a bad decision. I might even trust him on a 4th and goal as well. We're going to look for him underneath, and he's open in the flat. He's open. He is short. No, he's in. I hope the refs do not review that touchdown. And they didn't, but Ole Miss would score one immediately after. It's been more of a low-scoring game for both of these teams. But I don't want to settle for a field goal to end this half. I want us to score the go-ahead touchdown. And it feels like we're on track to make that possible with the 1st down. I don't know how. We still got Tevin on his feet, but blocking logic looked absolutely horrendous. We're watching for him on the halfback angle route, and we don't even need him. As this game has gone on, though, we have not been able to pull away from Ole Miss. In fact, they're in a great position until we get a massive play to Gostkowski. And you have to wonder, are we going to be able to finish off this drive? Because it seems like we will. We have so much talent out there on the field at the moment that is doing a lot of great things for us. And through an RPO, there's just a gaping hole for Irvin. I've been left with no choice but to get him a little bit more involved since we were trailing, making it a true 1-2 punch for us. And on 3rd and 6, I'm not going to be able to guard that, and neither are any of our linebackers. I just want to get them off of the field. We went with press man-to-man coverage, and we got a chance to play that ball, but they threw it up instead, making it 4th and 7, and they got him underneath. Do we have the tackle? We do! Tavares Chestnut. I know you remember the name Tavares Chestnut. He decided to stay instead of going on to the NFL. What a hit from him. And it might just win us a national championship with Florida A&M. At the moment, it seems like they have no idea how they're going to stop the run. Tevin Cormier going for 134 yards, but we went away from it on this play, and that should have been intercepted. I can't explain why that was even the read in the first place, but we're rolling out. We're waiting on the angle, and sometimes it's a good thing to recruit a good punter because you're going to need a good punter if you want to pin a team back, which we did not do. No flag for interference, kind of unsure how, but I'm thankful for it. And here's the problem. If they score, we're not going to have much time. They know that, which is why they've been chewing the clock, and we just missed. We missed. In heartbreaking fashion, that might just be it for us. We're just not built for this moment. We need to have a big gain on this play, and we're not catching it. I don't understand what's happened to this team, but it's unacceptable. We're going for the seam. Come on, come on, just like that. There is hope again. What are they going with? Zone coverage. And this might seem like an awful decision, but we have got to get ourselves a little bit closer, which is what we tried to do. I think we just learned that we can throw in the very quick out route, but we knew that Ole Miss was going to ice us. I was not willing to rush the kick, but it's all paid off because we have an 85 overall senior kicker. So the national championship is headed to overtime. I can't say that I love this, but maybe they're tired and we can just run the football extremely well. If not, there's always option number 2, the same option that we tend to return to whenever we need a big play, and that RPO puts us at the 6. Now they're going to be guarding the flat. They're not going to expect the run up the middle, and our defense is about to get 2 drives to stop Ole Miss. I hope they don't even get to a second drive, that they stop them on the first one, but I think we know that that's not very likely. And they threw it straight at me. We didn't get it. With the game in our hands, we messed up. And the pressure is on here. They're just going to go for a run, which didn't work. Then we're going to show them a cover 3. It was a halfback draw. Pretty good decision. But if we could just hold them to a field goal, they'll kick it. And they went with the read option. Not a good choice. I can't believe that they ran 3 times in a row, but maybe they didn't want to risk a pick. They probably realized that they should have lost in the first overtime. So here we go. It all comes down to this. And have they adapted? They have, but we're still breaking a tackle. I mean, if we're just being honest, we should not have caught that football, and we should be going down. Making this 3rd and 8, I'll admit, we're playing a little bit scared here. We're going to look for our star receiver, though, and they blocked it. I really don't like this decision, but I guess we're going to rely on trading 2-point conversions against the Rebels. In a panic, I'm just going to have to get this play off extremely fast, which I was not planning on, but it was available in our recent plays, so we had to call it. I mean, the play clock just evaporated out of nowhere. I don't see a read. We have to send a spy. Come on, get the pressure. He's not in. He's not in. Okay, I thought we were going to like whiff on that or something. National championship coming home to Florida A&M. And what a run that was. It wasn't expected out of this season. But I'll tell you what, it makes up for the fact that we were snubbed in 2029, that in 2030 we collapsed due to some injuries. And I guess it probably helps that we had 2 first-round running backs on our team as well, with the most players that we've ever put into the NFL in a single season. But that is still without key players like Kareem Mamula declaring early. And if you made it to this point in the rebuild, I appreciate you. Thank you so much for getting here. Leave a like down below. Check out some of my other content. I will see you all soon.